since we hung out.
Powered by Reviting, streaming from the Reviting Digital Studio. It's the David Daily. Exploring frontier technology, artificial intelligence, quantum innovation, and the intersection of faith, funding, and the future. Here's your host, David Goki.
Up, Axel. Welcome to the David Daily 29 episodes strong. Today is December 29th, 11 a.m. Eastern. We are just running a little bit late here today. So we are trying our very first coffee shop live on the road studio. And we actually love to be here. We've got all the platforms going strong. So if you're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, or Kick, welcome to the show. We're going to get the ticker going here. And if you're here for the first time, just remember we actually talk about the news segments. And I'm going to play a quick news segment. The heartbeat mission. Let's go. All right. Welcome to Funding, Faith, and Future for December 29th. We've got some amazing funding current events today. Thank you for all the folks who are joining. I see I Am Hope. I see Philo. I see Butterfly. I see Delaney. And we have folks across all major platforms. So corporate venture capital is expanding globally. NTT Docomo launched a new $96 million startup fund in its fourth venture vehicle, reinforcing long-term corporate commitment to early stage and growth technologies. Very exciting here. According to Global Venturing, early stage and growth stage technology investments across both Japan and international markets. So we're talking about international markets here. We love that there is actually an innovation fund. They actually announced this on their website. And press release actually came out on Christmas. So if you have not caught this yet, it's something to be watching. It is something that you want to be watching and sharing. Thank you so much for folks who are joining live now as we have this live show going strong. So you can see here, Docomo announced that they're starting an Innovation Fund 4, which is a corporate venture investment fund. It's so interesting, so beautiful as a fund. $96 million will establish on January 1st. What's going on, people? Thank you for joining the live stream. We're just talking about Docomo right now and how exciting it is. Good morning, Monday morning. This is the last Monday of 2025. Can you believe it already? It's already been almost a full year here, and we're streaming live from a coffee shop here, which is wonderful, and just looking over the faith and funding news this morning. So in other segments, we also have a year-end startup funding remaining active. We're going to come back to that after this quick intermission. Year-end funding is going strong despite the holiday period. Startup funding actively continues through December, with capital flowing into AI, healthcare, and real estate technology and infrastructure. According to Richmond BizSense, we actually see a resilient investor appetite heading into 2026. This is fantastic for funders all over the world, people who, Camilla, want to be involved with that. Good to see you, Eileen, and others on the live show today. We're seeing actually that local and national activity is actually popping up. Richmond BizSense says that startup recap for 2025, new ideas are expanding. What's up, Stump Chuggins? Good to see you on the live stream. We're getting lots of people joining in. By the way, if you're joining in today live, please tell us exactly what city you're joining in from, where you're tuning in from. It'd be great to see you on the show. I'm seeing right here that we actually, not only do we have Docomo coming up, but we also have Startup Recap coming up as well, in the sense that we've got folks coming in from all over the world looking for funding opportunities. And in the area of venture capital and angels, we're actively looking for more angels and investors who want to be a part of the show. So we actually see here that we've got a really fantastic startup recap for 2025. Expansion on funding is occurring in 2025, December. It is a very rich focus. Richmond Startup got even bigger in 2025 for new businesses. And there are lots of local startups here in the local scene. You could see new businesses. Ohm Health is following through on its bright idea to create a health lamp after launching and opening pre-orders this month. So that's very, very exciting. We could see here that we've got the health lamp team on top, and Temper Pack actually is starting a newest bright idea called a health lamp light startup. Very, very fascinating. So we do see that that is lighting up for this year, and especially as we go into the 0 to 1 phase of funding, we're seeing that even apps like Pickup, which is something that you can run for VCU grads, software engineers joining forces together to launch Pickup, a brand new app for users to schedule and join in on Richmond area pickup sports games. We love that type of a concept. People who are looking to find sports near you, that's a fantastic industry to be a part of. We'll be right back after this quick intermission. Talk. Love you guys behind the scenes. So in other news, we've got other news showcasing today. December deal flow shows that sector diversity is here to stay for the long term. Recent deal roundups highlighting $29 million raised for at-home hormone diagnostics, funding for an AI-designed protein platforms and transportation-focused AI startups. According to Crunchbase News, we see the underscoring broad sector interest beyond just pure software. So if you're in healthcare and you're thinking, I wonder, how does AI apply to me? For all the nurses, doctors, technicians, there's 5 very interesting technology startups that are right there in the midst of all of it, leaning into the fact that, yeah, actually healthcare can build from the ground up. They can actually build from the ground up and showcase exactly what it's like to have a healthcare startup. In fact, you may have missed this in the news recently that we actually are seeing that this healthcare startup right here, there's a healthcare startup that is focusing on wireless heart monitoring. What's up, Matthew? Good to see you in the feed. Eileen, again, good to see you tapping in. We got some folks joining in on these news. So interesting startup deals you may have missed. There is a new set of at-home hormone health testing. So if you're looking to manage your hormones, there's actually a startup called Inito, INITO. For folks paying attention, it's a Palo Alto, California-based startup, which was founded in 2015. And you can see here that they are actually very involved in the healthcare startup starting in 2021. And as a result, we actually see that it's analyzed more than 30 million fertility hormone data points per the company. So if you're looking to have children anytime soon, or you want to look at fertility, check out this company called Inito. They just secured $29 million in funding. How insane that we have $29 million of funding going into a fertility startup. We absolutely love that. That is a beautiful place to be. And the key to the expansion is the development of AI-generated antibodies, or synthetic proteins created by computer models to predict exactly how antibody molecules should fold and bind specific targets. Their CTO told TechCrunch that they're very excited for this innovative technology that's coming out, and it's going to produce antibodies that are far more sensitive, consistent, and stable than anything being developed in traditional methods. Isn't that interesting? I find that so interesting in funding, in faith, in all the things. And I'm very thankful that you're interested in this news just like myself. So we're going to take a quick break. Angel investors remain foundational across the United States as it continues to play a very critical role in early stage company formation, particularly in Silicon Valley. According to Technically, New York and Boston are also hubs for this technology and investment funds. Thank you so much. Thank you for the flash goal, folks. Looks like we've got some folks tuning in. Thank you so much for those who are tuning in all across all major platforms, including TikTok and others. And we're just going to make sure that we've got these goals pinned here. Okay, perfect. And what's super interesting about this is, like, Boston was kind of a city that was on the map for a while. We see that there are US regions that are actually getting closer to those funding milestones. And we actually see that there's actually a lot going on in the world of funding. We love to see the US regions, according to the news site Technically. You're actually going to see that this is going to light up here and where it fuels local growth. So there's lots of startups across YouTube, across Silicon Valley, across even in Denver. So we see here that in Denver, we're seeing actually some folks are lighting up. And what's interesting is that there are a lot of deals outside their own area of shared expertise, right? And connections. So help local startup scenes across New York, Boston, and the West Coast. So past research is showing that companies that are receiving early stage angel funding were more likely to survive after 4 years. So our startups are becoming more resilient, folks. They're becoming more resilient. And following Advancing Region Innovation Economics recent research report, which we can dive into, we can infer that strong ecosystems tend to have established angel support. So all you angels out there, thank you for tuning into the show and listening. We love to look at research and dive into the research report. We're going to be looking at this Advancing Regional Innovation Economies, mapping the momentum of America's top entrepreneurial regions, including Boston and New York on the East Coast, Chicago, Indianapolis in the Midwest. We've got, of course, Austin in Texas in the South, Boulder, Colorado in the Mountain Time Zone, and you know it, Seattle and San Francisco on the West Coast. And that is a wrap for our funding segment of the show. We are testing our audio and our setup from the wonderful coffee shop here, and we're going to jump right into a quick little segment video to break up things as we jump into faith. Jesse, thank you so much to the people who are joining. We've got Butterfly and Jesse. We've got Eileen and Bud Bongos on Instagram. So funny. What an interesting username. We had Jeffrey on the show yesterday. So if you're tuning in, go ahead and comment where you're tuning in as we go to our next segment, which is the faith portion of this show, one of my favorite portions, where we get to talk about faith and religion concepts. We get to talk about how faith actually aligns. And we actually see that as capital pools are growing larger and deployment speeds accelerate, faith-centered voices are emphasizing stewardship, patience, and accountability in how funding shapes innovation. Across traditions, leaders are continuing to stress that capital is a tool, not a measure of worth, and that human dignity and long-term service must remain central as technology scales. This segment reflects how ongoing faith and ethics dialogues around capital innovation center the conversation with angels. And with that, we're going to go over to our segment on future tech after this quick video. Welcome to Funding Faith and Future, the daily morning podcast, live stream and show streaming on all major platforms. Thank you to my audience on TikTok. I just want to say TikTok's now owned by the United States. So we have a US-based board of directors. Very exciting to see y'all in the United States. If you didn't catch our episode yesterday, please check out our top 10 Saudi Arabian Gulf region, UAE, and surrounding countries top 10 list. We saw over $10 billion being poured into the region in technology startups, primarily in short-term loans, in Q-commerce, which is Q-commerce. Quick commerce is what it stands for. And even more, we're seeing investments being made into buy now, pay later, and rent now, pay later options, which is very interesting, very unique. So as we move into our topic of the future of technology, we're going to review a couple of concepts about future tech current events. So AI capital concentration intensifies as AI first companies, welcome to the show star, are building significant funding reserves into year end, creating extended runways and reinforcing market dominance while raising questions about valuation, discipline, and competitive balance in 2026, according to Payments. Good to have you on the show, Star. Good to see you, Eileen and Philo. Good to see you folks in the comments as well. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. And as we think about end of year coming soon, thank you, Jeanette. Good to see you here. Absolutely appreciate y'all being here. Thank you for the taps. And as we think about the end of year, the funding models are growing in the area of future technology. And what's interesting about that is actually that the market dominance is raising questions about valuation discipline and a competitive balance in 2026. Thank you so much for the taps, the engagements, the comments, the likes, the shares. Really appreciate y'all. Going to take a quick interlude here right before we come back. Talk. And we're back with future of quantum topics. So if you haven't talked about quantum yet, just want to make sure that you're leaning into quantum topics. First of all, quantum topics include things such as quantum superposition, wave particle duality, quantum entanglement, uncertainty principle, and quantum states and qubits. So in this portion of the show, we're going to explicitly focus on the quantum topics section because we want you to be informed on quantum topics, but we also want to learn ourselves with you. We strive to educate and entertain and inform as much as we possibly can. And so when we have the opportunity to do that, we will absolutely do that with you and for you, not against you. And that is exactly why I want to talk about these 5 concepts here. But this first main concept is really about quantum superposition. So the definition of quantum superposition is a system that can exist in multiple states at a time at once until measured. So that's quantum superposition. It's a very interesting concept, the concept of quantum superposition. So I'm still learning this too as well, that quantum superposition is a concept that we do care about. It is a system, again, that can exist in multiple states at once until measured. It's a concept that we want to share here with you. I'm going to just share this real quick, show you on screen exactly what I'm talking about, because quantum topics are an important aspect of this show. And here we go. Quantum superposition. A system can exist in multiple states at once until measured. So superposition basically means that a system can exist in multiple positions at once. And that's an important aspect to the way that we want to learn about quantum. And as you can see here on this screen, if you don't know about quantum, tune into the quantum show and listen more about quantum topics, because that's exactly what we're talking about right now. And furthermore, we're learning about quantum as we go too, just like you. So if you're here for quantum topics, you found the right spot. That's exactly where you're supposed to be. Now, the next topic that we're going to talk about, right, is this idea of what we would call quantum duality. So there's a very interesting wave particle duality, just like electrons, right? Where you can actually see electrons and photons show both wave-like and particle-like behavior. That's right, wave-like and particle behavior. I'm going to ask AI to put this in layman's terms, because at the end of the day, it can be very difficult to really understand wave particle duality. But in simple words, tiny things like light and like electrons don't behave like ordinary balls or ordinary waves. They act like both depending on how you look at them. So here's what that actually means in everyday words. It means that a particle is like a tiny billiard ball. It's in one place at a time, and it hits things in a specific spot, right? Particles are intersecting together, right? Think about physics con. Good to see you here in the chat. And what that means is that as a wave, that like a ripple in a pond, it spreads out and can overlap with other waves that are intersecting at the same time and making patterns of both highs and lows. Good to see you, Newman, Pervamesh. Great to see you and others who are streaming on this. So you have a particle, and then you also have this wave-like behavior. And then you now also have things like photons, which are light particles, are actually, and electrons show wave-like features. For example, they can make interference patterns like ripples. They can also overlap like this, yet they show particle-like features, meaning that they also hit detectors in single little spots as if they were small, little, tiny bullets. So sometimes an electron behaves like a wave, and sometimes it behaves like a tiny particle. It really depends on how you measure or observe it. So if this is your first time on the Funding, Faith, and Future Tech show, I just want to say thank you. Welcome to the show. We've got some new viewers. We've got some new folks viewing. Really appreciate you, Raquel Tinker. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you. So glad to have you here on the show on a Monday morning. It is so great to have you here. And in fact, we are lighting up funding, faith, and future tech right now. We're talking about quantum topics. So we're going to go into this third topic that we mentioned here just recently. And the third topic is this idea of, it's really this idea of quantum entanglement. Now, we've talked briefly about this previously, but we're going to define quantum entanglement right now. So quantum entanglement, what is quantum entanglement? That's a good question. It's when two or more particles become linked so that the state of one instantly influences the other. Now, this is very fascinating to me because quantum entanglement can basically mean that you have one particle over here, and this particle over here influences this particle over here. So this quantum entanglement concept actually shows us that there is a host of different states that quantum entanglement can be in, and it's very interesting. Quantum entanglement. So quantum entanglement is very, very fascinating. It's very interesting. So in layman's terms, right, imagine you had two tiny particles that somehow they become linked. Okay, they become linked. They become connected. Okay, these particles can be anywhere in space-time continuum, so that what happens to this particle over here instantly affects this particle, okay? And they can be very close, or they can be very, very far apart. Now, it's like if you had a pair of magic dice that are showing matching numbers, okay? We're talking about you have one dice over here and you have another dice over here, and automatically they're now showing the same number. If you roll one in New York, for example, it lands on 3. The other one, no matter where it was, instantly matches that number. There's no normal signal traveling between them. The connection just exists, right? It just exists. David Atta, thank you so much. We've got David on the show. So I'm going to share that right here. So when you talk about quantum entanglement means that two particles can coexist in the same exact format, and they're immediately linked, meaning that you can have one particle over here and one particle over here, and they will be the exact same. For example, if you had a dice that you rolled in New York and it showed a 3, immediately the other dice would show the exact same number. And that is the concept of quantum entanglement. It is a basic to quantum topics. And that is all we have for quantum entanglement. Now, what we also have is we have the uncertainty principle. We have the uncertainty principle. If you could say that 3 times, say uncertainty principle. That just means that certain pairs of properties, examples include position and momentum, cannot both be known precisely at the same time. They cannot be known precisely at the same time. And why this is important is because in quantum, you may have the uncertainty to know that in quantum physics, some properties do actually come linked into pairs like position and momentum. And the more precisely you know one property, the less precisely you know the other. For example, if you have a soccer ball that is rolling down the street and you're wanting to know, A, how fast is that ball moving and which position is that ball actually in? You may ask yourself, I see it in that goalie's hands. Okay, now I know its position. But as soon as that goalie throws that ball, I may no longer know where the momentum of that ball is going in the position of it at the same time. And so what's super interesting about that is this is not a measurement flaw or weak technology. It's just a built-in rule of how nature works. And that's why here on Funding Faith Future Topics and Future Tech, we care about learning about quantum, teaching quantum, very pragmatically, and this is an example. So why does this happen? It happens because particles behave like waves, right? They go up and down, and so a sharply defined position requires a spread out particle wave, and a sharply defined momentum requires a tightly ordered wave, and you cannot have both at the same time. So if you have exact location, that means you have fuzzy motion. But if you have exact motion, then you have a fuzzy location. And that's actually very true. Like, if I can see you moving very fast through space, I might know at a point in time where you are if I froze and took a snapshot. But if I wanted to know how fast you were going, it would be very difficult to know that with precision. And that is the basic of uncertainty principle. Now, these are concepts that I am learning myself and that you are also learning yourself as well. But I just want you to know that uncertainty principle is a quantum topic. It's a topic that's on the top of the ecosystems. And it's just a topic that we genuinely care about here on Funding Faith and Future as a part of David Daily on December 29th, which is a wonderful live show. We'll be back after this quick intermediary media asset, which is going to play right now. All right, we're back here on Funding Faith and Future on the David Daily, 27 minutes in, wrapping up our segment on quantum topics. We're here educating people on quantum topics. Strong TikTok family, thank you for the heart me. We've got folks on TikTok lighting us up. We love TikTok Shop. We love all the things on TikTok. Streaming live on TikTok is so much fun. We have a big audience there. We see Summer Writer, Victory is mine, is also watching. We see Newman Purvey Smith. We see Butterfly, as well as many, many others as we're looking into the audience, just saying, hey, thank you for joining the show. So the fifth topic, which is very important, is the quantum states and qubits. So if you don't know about qubits, now is the time to know about qubits. This is a basic concept. It's one that I am learning myself. It is to say that the basic units of quantum information, qubits can represent a 0, okay? They can represent a 1, or they can represent both simultaneously. Now, let me explain this concept. It's kind of like this. If I wanted to talk about how to understand this, I could have a light switch. The light switch goes on, that is a 1. The light switch goes off, that is a 0. But I could have the light switch can both be on and off at the same time. And this is a push. This is evidence that there are an infinite number of time, space, universes in the world. And in fact, when we think about things from a faith point of view, it's very interesting because we have an ultimate divine creator, but we also have ultimate divine choice. How incredible is that? So, for example, before you measure a quantum qubit, it does not behave like a certain simple 0 or 1, because that would just be too easy, right? But what it behaves like is it's in a quantum superposition, meaning it's a mix of 0 and 1. It's kind of like a spinning coin. If you have a spinning coin that's spinning on your desk and you're thinking, is it in heads or is it in tails? Well, while it is spinning, a coin is in both states of head and tails. It includes both options. So as you measure a qubit, the superposition collapses and you see either a definite 0 or a definite 1. Now, why does this matter? Asia, Yvonne, thank you for joining the live stream. Why does this actually matter in quantum topics, which is what we're talking about right now? It matters because each qubit is in this blended state, and a quantum computer, okay, now quantum computing with several qubits can handle many possibilities at the same exact time, much more than if each piece of information could only be a 0 or a 1, like in a normal computer. You remember bits from back in the day, right? You had bits, which were either zeros or ones, but with qubits, they can be in a superposition, just like a spinning coin that has an on and an off. So in short, the qubit is the quantum version of a bit. Unlike a regular bit that's always either 0 or 1, a qubit can be a mix of both zeros and ones at the same exact time. And that is quantum qubit state concepts until you measure it, right? Once the penny drops and falls, you can measure if it's on a 0 or a 1. And that's exactly what gives qubits a strong, unique power advantage. All right, that concludes our quantum topics session for today. And thank you for tuning in and listening to our quantum topics. It is important to know that quantum topics are emerging and future technology. We love that future faith and focus happens every single day on the Funding, Faith, and Future podcast show. We're very excited and grateful for those who get to join us live every day at 11 a.m. Eastern Time in New York City, 8 Pacific. So if you're tuning in, please comment, like, subscribe. Asia Yvonne, thank you for joining again. Azu, we appreciate you. We see Summer Writer one is on here. Victory Jasmine. We see But Bongas is still watching. Eileen. We've got Philo and I am. And of course, we've got folks who've already tuned in. David, Ada, Raquel, Tinker, thank you so much. Butterfly, as always. Strong TikTok family going strong with the likes. Appreciate you all. So we're going into our final anchor segment of the show, which is called Beyond the Bag. Literally, I travel full time. So we have funding, faith, future, full-time travel, and fun. And I love the fun segment of the show because I have a bag here. I'm always traveling with a bag. And here is my bag. It's a Toomey bag. I love it. Always traveling. You see me in public, you're going to see me with a bag. And what I pulled out of my bag today is 2 items. I'm going to do a double Beyond the Bag today, folks. A double full-time travel Beyond the Bag. The first is this special Wee Woo mouse. Okay, if you do not have this Wee Woo mouse, you need to get this. It is a Bluetooth and a USB-C mouse. So you can plug it into your PC desktop at home, and you can also plug it into any wireless Bluetooth-enabled device. You can see on the bottom of it, you actually have an on-off switch. So for those on TikTok Shop, you can actually get this mouse. I got this in Colombia, Medellin, Colombia, which is a headquarters of all technology. You have a huge gaming center there, huge live streamers all over Colombia. Of course, the top comes off and it's got lights in the bottom. It's very techy. The gadget is super fun. You can click and change the DPI. Right here, you can change and click the display settings, which is really fun, display and DPI. And then on the bottom, you have a very, very cool on off switch, and you can switch right here. You can kind of see me switching it, but when you switch it, it will switch between devices. So you could technically have 3 computers connected to your mouse at the same time. Did you hear me say that? 3 computers at the same time. So that is the Beyond the Bag segment. And then, of course, I always need to have a microfiber cloth right here for those of you who like to clean, who like to stay sanitary, to maybe wipe your hands off or dust a little screen. You can always do that with a microfiber cloth, which is why I carry this everywhere I go in my bag. The Beyond the Bag segment right here. So that is the final aspect of our show today. So if you're tuning in again for the very first time, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Y'all are awesome. We have an incredible audience here. And with that, I'm going to sign out of this show for today of the David Daily with the Funding, Faith, and Future segment. So we're going to end on the dot. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow on the David Daily.